Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked up at the ceiling and asked, God, what are you waiting for? You prayed, you fasted, you've done everything right, but still silence, still no breakthrough, still no healing, no sign. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking and the world is yelling, you're running out of time. But let me hit you with something that will shake your soul. Time is a construct. God doesn't live in it. He created it. See, we base our lives on seconds, hours, deadlines, and expiration dates. But God, He's not bound by any of that. In fact, in the Bible, Psalms chapter 90, verse 4 says, 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by. He's not running late. He's not early. He's not panicked because your plan didn't work. He's eternal. And eternity doesn't wear a watch. You see, science tells us time is relative, that it can bend and stretch. Einstein called it space-time. And here's where it gets wild. Time only exists inside the universe. But God, He exists outside of it. He created time the way a painter creates a canvas. He's not trapped in it. So when we cry out, where is God? He's not delayed. He's just detached from the thing you're using to measure him. God doesn't work in deadlines. He works in divine timing. And here's what's crazier. That same God who exists outside of time still chose to show up right on time. Somewhere along the way, somebody decided that science and faith were enemies. That if you believe in the Bible, you have to ignore the data. And if you trust science, you have to deny God. But that's a false choice. Because some of the greatest minds in human history didn't choose one or the other. They chose both. Let me tell you about the scientists your Sunday school skipped and your science textbook conveniently left out. We're going to start with Albert Einstein, the big one, the science world's golden boy. No, Einstein wasn't a Christian, but he wasn't an atheist either. He once said, everyone who is seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced that a spirit is manifest in the laws of the universe. He believed in a God of order, a designer. He rejected chaos. He felt something bigger, even if he didn't name it Jesus. And yet, religious folks don't quote him. Scientists try to scrub the spirit part out of his legacy. Why? Because it doesn't fit into their box. Or what about Johannes Kepler? He discovered the laws of planetary motion. But he also said, science is thinking God's thoughts after him. He didn't see a conflict. He saw the universe as a reflection of God's mind. So where's his quote in your youth group lesson? Where's the sermon on astronomy as worship? Nowhere. Because somewhere religion decided science was too worldly. And science decided God was outdated. Both sides blackballed the very minds that tried to build a bridge. Or what about Blaise Pascal, mathematician, physicist, inventor? The dude literally invented the calculator. But what's he most famous for? Pascal's wager. If I believe in God and I'm wrong, I lose nothing. But if I don't believe and God is real, I've lost everything. That's not blind faith. That's reasoned belief. That's logic mixed with longing. So why don't churches quote Pascal more often? Because he doesn't preach well. He challenges comfortable religion and easy answers. What about Isaac Newton, the father of physics? He discovered gravity, developed the laws of motion. But he also said, The most beautiful system of the sun, planet, and the comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. Newton believed that science was how God revealed himself. So let me ask you, why are we hiding behind fear when these giants walked in faith? Or what about Michael Faraday, the pioneer of electromagnetism, built the foundation for electric motors, but also a deeply devout Christian? He was once quoted saying, "I cannot doubt that a glorious discovery in natural knowledge and a glorious manifestation of God's power and wisdom will be the same." He didn't need a seminary. His lab was the sanctuary. Or what about Francis Collins? He's a more modern name, but maybe the most important one on this list. He was the leader in the Human Genome Project, one of the most respected geneticists in the world, and a devoted Christian. He said, "The God of the Bible is also the God of genome. He can be worshipped in the cathedral or in the laboratory." Francis Collins didn't abandon science to find God. He followed the science all the way to the cross. So why are they ignored? Why doesn't the church quote them on Sunday? Why does science pretend they never believed? Because they don't play by the rules. Because they didn't pick a side. They lived in the tension. They stood on the bridge, and the world doesn't know what to do with people like that. But we need more of them, because the truth is, faith and science were never enemies. They're just two different languages trying to describe the same God. Okay, so what do we do with all this? We said time is a construct, that God isn't limited by clocks or calendars, that some of the smartest people to ever live believed in something greater. Not in spite of their intelligence, but because of it. But what does that mean when your prayers still feel ignored, when you're still waiting on healing, when you're still broke, still tired, still asking, God, when? Let me say again. Just because God's not early doesn't mean he's late. In John chapter 11, Jesus gets word that his friend Lazarus is dying. And what does he do? He waits 2 more days while Lazarus dies. Everyone's confused. Everyone's hurting. Mary and Martha basically say if you had shown up on time, he wouldn't be dead. But Jesus knew something they didn't. He wasn't operating on their schedule, he was operating on eternity's. And when he finally showed up, he didn't just heal, he resurrected. And that's the thing about a timeless God. He doesn't show up just to meet expectations, he shows up to exceed them. So yeah, time might be a human construct, but God, he's the architect behind it, the one who knows the exact second your situation flips, the one who steps into your delay with divine design. Let me hit you with this. Faith isn't trusting God to be fast, it's trusting him to be faithful. Because maybe the thing you're calling late is the thing God is calling perfect. So the next time your life feels like it's stuck in traffic, next time the diagnosis comes too early or the breakthrough comes too late, remember, God isn't checking your clock. He's working by his. And his time, it isn't just perfect, it's redemptive. It makes delay scared. It makes waiting part of the miracle. So yeah, time is a construct. But my God, he's always on time. Even when I don't get it, even when it hurts, even when I am begging for faster. He's not in a rush because he's not running late. He's just building something eternal. And if the creator of the universe thinks I'm worth waiting for, then I'll wait too. So how do we fix it? How do we, people of faith, people of reason, stop standing on the opposite sides of the same truth? Because science and faith were never meant to be enemies. They were meant to complete the picture. Science shows us how creation works. Faith tells us why it mattered. And here's the real question. If science can find evidence that a man named Jesus lived, was crucified under Roman rule, buried, and that something happened to his body no one has ever been able to explain, then why are we still fighting about proving God? Why aren't we talking about meeting him? Because here's the truth. The war isn't between science and God. It's between ego and humility. It's between people who need all the answers and a God who invites you to trust him even when you don't have them. So how do I, a pastor, a high school dropout, a human being who's seen enough pain to turn anyone bitter, how do I convince a whole world that we've been fighting about the wrong thing? The answer? I can't. Not alone. But I can and I will carry the cross. Not the shiny gold-plated one we hang on walls, the real one. The one that means being misunderstood, that means showing up in places where Christians don't belong, that means preaching to atheists, scientists, gamers, outcasts, doubters, not to change them, but to remind them that they were never thrown out of God's plan in the first place. Because Jesus didn't carry the cross to prove a point. He carried it to make peace between heaven and earth, between broken people and a holy God, between creation and a creator. So yeah, maybe I am opening a door that means carrying that cross. But if that's what it takes to reach the ones who have been cast aside by religion, then I'll carry it until my legs give out. Because if God waited this long for me, then I can wait a little longer to help others find him. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great week. Goodbye.